going on, Jerome's? So today, the story had been that Marcus Davenport's contract was going to be voided, and the Vikings would have $6.8 million dead on their books, and it just sort of is what it is. And Davenport, he was seen as a gamble, sure, a roll of the dice, and he was basically that when the Saints traded up 2 first-round picks to go draft him, number 14 overall back in the day, and he couldn't really stay healthy with the Saints, and that's what the Vikings were betting on, that he could stay healthy and be productive when they gave him the 1-year, $13 million deal. But again, with the void year cap hits, if he would have been re-signed, it would have stayed prorated over the next 4 years, defraying some of the cap costs when they initially signed him for 2023. But since the contract voided, all $6.8 million of those void year dead cap hits will come home to roost. And with Davenport, like, he played in 4 games, 118 snaps, had 7 tackles, 7 pressures, 2 sacks. Like, when he was healthy, he was good, but injured one ankle, injured the other, had surgery, and it just wasn't great. And he basically was MIA when the Vikings definitely needed a pass rush presence opposite of Daniil. Wanham filled in nicely before he blew out his quad. So it just wasn't great. So it did seem like the Vikings were going to be like, okay, no harm, no foul. Well, a little bit of harm, a little bit of foul, but we'll just take our medicine, take the dead cap hit, and not re-sign or work on re-signing Marcus Davenport. Because if they did re-sign him, again, those void year cap hits would stay at 1.7 per year over the next 4 years. But plot twist. So apparently his contract is not being voided today. It's being pushed back. Kevin Seifert, ESPN, who's not Carl Gershman. Update. The Vikings renegotiated the void date on Marcus Davenport's deal this weekend. It now matches the expiration date for the deals of Kirk Cousins and Daniil Hunter on March 13th, which is the first day of the new league year. A little more time to see if there is any common ground. Davenport's deal will not void today. So that does leave the door open for Davenport possibly returning. And like we said, when he was healthy last year, he was really good. The problem was he wasn't really healthy, and it continues to be an issue. And also, there have been some scuttlebutt that, when Davenport had his ankle surgery, I mean, could he have gotten back towards the end of the season? You had Jordan Hicks, who missed minimal time, and he had his leg cut open like a walleye when he had that compartment syndrome thing going on with his shin. But with Davenport, again, that's the main thing. You're betting on potential, and it's like, mama, I can change him. And can he stay healthy? Yeah, that's the main thing. But if the Vikings go down this road, it's got to be cheap. Like, yes, he got his $13 million last year. He got his payday. Congratulations. I don't see any team swooping in and giving him 8 figures. Again, I don't see that. Right. So I don't see $10+ million per season. You could see like a minimal deal, say like $4 million, laden with incentives, both sack incentives and playing time incentives. And I think that's what he may have to do to try and rehab, no pun intended, his image and on a 1-year prove-it deal. And like we said, when he's healthy, like, he can get something done, especially in this scheme. But here's a couple things too. So since the void dates coincide with Daniil Hunter, they'll have an idea if they're going to be able to keep Daniil, because it would make sense to re-sign him before that contract voids to keep those void year dead cap hits prorated. But if they don't get something done, whether with Daniil, and also the first day of the new league year is March 13th, so that will be the official start of open free agency. They'll also have an idea if DJ Wanham potentially could be back on a cheaper deal. So Here's my problem. Like, if the Vikings do bring back Marcus Davenport, it's got to be cheap and incentive-laden, and he can't be relied upon to be the one-for-one replacement for Daniil Hunter. Can't do it. Can't do it. Like, bottom line, the Vikings have to bring in someone in free agency, or they definitely have to hammer the draft to bring in more edge-rushing depth, because, I mean, the Vikings only have 2 edge rushers technically under contract right now. They have 0 on futures deals, but Patrick Jones second, Andre Carter the second are the only guys on the rooster, because Hunter and Davenport have void deals, and Wanham is set to be a true free agent. So we'll see what happens. Like we said, Marcus Davenport is right now probably the most disappointing free agent that the Vikings have ever signed, just because of the size of the money. Like, if you're Daniil Hunter, And you, with incentives, like you had a $17 million base salary with $3 million in incentives up to $20 million bucks, and you bust your ass to become a Pro Bowl, All Pro, perennial type player, one of the best edge rushers in the game, and then you see a guy who had a half a sack in 2022, the full-on Lance Armstrong, and yes, that half sack was against Kirk Cousins, and then you see him making $13 million bucks, which was supposed to be your base salary, by the way. That's got to be frustrating, man. It's got to be frustrating. But like we said, if, knocking on all the wood, he can get his ish together, if he can stay healthy, he can get after it, yes. But, again, we ain't doing this again. We are not doing this again. So a cheap deal with tons of incentives, like hell, you can make the incentives all the way up to $13 million bucks if you want to. But if he's not healthy, he gets minimal, or maybe even league minimum. So, and he may have to take it because I don't see too much of a market for him right now. Like I don't, given the lessons from last year with the Vikings, I don't see a team giving him more than $5-6 million bucks a year guaranteed. I just don't see that. But your thoughts are thoughts. Marcus Davenport contract apparently not voiding today. Going to take another 3 weeks or so. But let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.